Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserve on Earth. More than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia, more than the United States. And yet today, Venezuela is a failed state, defined by shortages, hyperinflation, mass emigration, and political regression. So the question isn't what went wrong. The real question is, how does a country with that much oil end up poor, dirt poor? Austrian Economics gives us the answer, and it has nothing to do with oil. For much of the 20th century, Venezuela was one of the wealthiest countries in South America. It had a growing middle class, a functioning private sector, a relatively stable currency, and a globally competitive oil industry. Oil didn't make Venezuela poor, politics did. Even before socialism, Venezuela relied way too heavily on state spending funded by oil revenue. But the economy still functioned because prices, profits, and private enterprise still existed. That changed when the state decided it just didn't want to tax the economy. It wanted to run it. In 1999, Hugo Chavez came to power promising fairness, equality, and prosperity for the poor. His solution was simple: state control. Industries were nationalized, property rights were weakened, price controls were imposed, private enterprise was treated as exploitation. From an Austrian perspective, this was the fatal mistake. As Mises explained, without private ownership and market prices, rational economic calculation becomes impossible. Planners are no longer guided by profit and losses. They're just flying blind. Friedrich Hayek taught that knowledge is decentralized. No government ministry knows what should be produced, in what quantity, with which outputs, or at what cost. Markets solve this through prices. And Venezuela replaced prices with political decisions. When the government fixes prices, producers stop producing. Shelves went empty, black markets emerged, and corruption exploded. These weren't policy mistakes. They were inevitable consequences. At its peak in the 1990s, Venezuela produced around 3.5 million barrels of oil per day. Oil funded the government, oil masked inefficiency, and then oil also delayed reality. But instead of reinvesting in capital, maintenance, and talent, the state turned the national oil company, PDVSA, into a political machine. Experienced engineers were fired. Management was politicized, and investment collapsed. Oil revenue wasn't used to sustain production. It was used to buy loyalty. Today, Venezuela produces well under 1 million barrels per day, a fraction of what it once did. This wasn't caused by sanctions. It wasn't caused by capitalism. It wasn't caused by foreign sabotage. It was caused by destroyed incentives. In Austrian terms, this is capital consumption. When profits are confiscated, losses are ignored, and competence is punished. Capital isn't maintained, it's drained. Oil wells don't just produce magically forever. They require continuous investment, skilled labor, spare parts, long-term planning. Central planning destroys all four of these things. Oil wealth gave Venezuela the illusion of prosperity. But as Austrian Economics explains, wealth isn't consumption, it's capital accumulation. Instead of building durable structures, Venezuela consumed its capital. When oil prices fell, the illusion collapsed. And when production fell, there was nothing underneath it. After Chavez's death, Nicolas Maduro inherited a broken system. Instead of reforming it, he did what most dictators do and just doubled down. With production collapsing and revenue drying up, the government turned to the only tool it had. Can you guess what's coming? Money printing. The result was hyperinflation. Weird. Savings were destroyed. Wages became meaningless. Barter replaced currency. As Mises warned, inflation is not an accident, it is a policy. Venezuela didn't suffer inflation, they chose it. When socialism fails economically, which it always does, sorry, I have a little bit of a cough, every single time, it must survive politically. That means controlling media, criminalizing dissent, rigging institutions, replacing consent with force. You know, the usual socialistic playbook, the usual. And this is not unique to Venezuela. It's the logical endpoint of central planning. It leads there every single time. I don't know how many more times we have to do this. Like, how many more times does it have to happen before people are like, you know what? Maybe socialism isn't good. No. This time, This time it's starting now. It's going to work. That's why you morons voted in Mondani in New York. Good luck living in a shithole. As Murray Rothbard explained, once the state controls revenue, it must also control people. Venezuela didn't fail because it lacked resources. It failed because prices were silenced, incentives were destroyed, knowledge was centralized, and power replaced markets. Oil didn't save Venezuela. It only delayed its collapse. Prosperity doesn't come from what a country owns. It comes from how free its people are to use it. Thank you for watching Bear Economics. If you found the subject interesting, or if you got some value out of it, drop a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.